Chapter 11. After leaving the cave, the group traveled away on foot until the sky began to darken for the night. Tavo figured it would be best to rest for the night, near the jungle by the river, outside of Monte. Stay out of sight from prying eyes, Tavo requested. They broke apart and each began to set up the camp, gathering firewood and cleaning out a good spot to sleep. Copa was getting hungry, and so was everyone else, so he left camp to bring back something to eat, and Ive tagged along with him. Rumoana and Tavo were left behind to finish setting up the camp. After she and Tavo completed their chores, not having too much of nothing to say to one another, Rumoana decided to have a nice bath in the river until Copa and Ive returned. Copa and Ive were walking southeast on the outskirts of the jungle, in the high grasses searching for game. The skies were purple and everything seemed just a little too quiet. How come I feel like we're not the only ones hunting? Ive asked. Although it was quiet, he was hearing something move, each time they moved, as if they were being followed. I've been smelling the same scent ever since we came here, replied Copa. What do we do? Because I don't have the nose you have, Ive asked. I think, Copa started to answer. That really wasn't a question, replied Ive. Copa suddenly froze as he spotted a raptor in the grasses. Ive, he called out softly. I'm thinking, Ive continued talking, not realizing what Copa had spotted. If we draw attention to ourselves, Ive said, whatever is following us will come out and then we'll kill it. I see it, whispered Copa, a little louder and urgently to Ive. What? Where? Ive looked around, his eyes squinting, trying to focus on the prey as his eyes got wider. Follow me, said Copa. It saw us, and the hunt was on as they moved forward. The raptor was fast, but Copa never lost sight of the creature as they got closer to the raptor. I see it, Ive called out, spotting the raptor as it zigs and zags ahead of them. Suddenly, the raptor stopped, and the way it stopped made Copa and Ive also freeze in their tracks. The raptor then began coming towards them. I don't like this, Ive whispered to Copa. Me either, said Copa. Suddenly, high-pitched screeches played as several raptors leaped at them from all sides. The raptors had a single big claw on each of their inner hind feet, razor-sharp teeth, and strong jaws, all killing tools. Copa quickly turned his fist to stone and began punching everything in sight that moved towards him. Ive was keeping the raptors at a distance with his double-bladed staff. Yeah, come on, you wanna eat something now? Ive yelled out, and then he charged the raptors. The fight was good, but it was now 9 raptors to 1 gargoyle and 1 man. The number wasn't the problem. The problem was that they needed to avoid getting spotted. They were now looking for any scratches that might have drawn any blood, and the odds of that happening was mighty slim. The raptors were no fools toward battle and persistence. Ive was beginning to feel the need for another eye to watch for a raptor attack as they surrounded him. They were getting too close, and suddenly, out of nowhere, like thin air, Ive saw a raptor jumping at him from above. The raptor had leaped from some ways back to pounce on him. It looked bad. Ive knew that once he focused on tossing the raptor, the rest of the raptors would invade. Shit! He cried out in frustration. I got it! Copa shouted to him, swooping down from the sky, bringing a fierce blow that knocked the pouncing raptor completely away from Ive. Copa then quickly changed his hands from stone and snatched Ive and away. As the two rose higher, Ive took keen aim and swiftly threw his staff into the body of one of the raptors on the ground. Fucking lizard! The reaming raptors saw their downed comrade and quickly backed off, then scampered away, looking both angry and frightened. With that, they fled off into the dark, thinking the next could be on them. Once the departing raptors were clearly away, Copa dipped low so that Ive could grab the lifeless raptor for their meal. Retrieving the dead raptor and Ive's blade, they rose back into the air and flew to the ground of Agri's beachland to get him clean and slice off its head, which would drain out the blood. Ive was doing the slicing since Copper did the carrying. Ive, Copper asked. What's up? He answered, swinging down and cutting the tail of the raptor. Is Moana dropping? Copper asked. No, why? Because I was smelling her blood early, said Copper. You didn't tell Tavo, did you? Asked Ive. No, cried Copper. Good. She doesn't want him to know? Asked Copper. Yep. Why? He didn't say, but he said he gives her the creeps. Copper laughed. He doesn't like old people, Ive said, continuing his task. Damn, that's funny. I know, because she's pretty old herself. Yeah, but she's damn sure she doesn't look it. Maybe it's a reflection of what she could have looked like, and that creeps her out, Copper thought. Ive picked up the tail, legs, and head. What the hells do you need the head for? I don't know. Maybe the brain, he said, walking over to the water. Copper frowned. He couldn't even finish what he was going to say. Ive, flip that body over for me. I need that leg. Ive placed the parts he had into the salty seawater and went back to cut off the other leg. Are we done with this? Yeah, I'ma just cut this leg off. All right. Copper got up and went to the beach. You chopping any of this up? Not really, just the knees, and cut the tail in half. Ive took the leg of the raptor and began slicing. Ive, Copper said. Hold on, Copper. Let me get through this bone, said Ive. No, look, said Copper, pointing into the waters. Ive's eyes followed to where Copper was pointing. Can you see that? Asked Copper. Oh yeah, cried Ive. Mermaids were playing not too far offshore from them. One was sitting on a bedrock, besides another one with long red hair. 3 others you could barely see were shooting out of the waters like dolphins. They seemed to be having fun. Seeing mermaids was rare. Mermaids avoided getting too close to the land. Damn, they're beautiful, Ive said. Yeah, agreed Copper. One of the mermaids spotted the land walkers and signaled the other girls it was time to leave. One by one, they vanished into the sea. One came back for a final look and then disappeared for good. Ive shook his head and murmured, Wow. Yeah, Copper was in a trance. Mermaids, I've heard so many tales of them, and now I can say I've seen them with my own eyes. Me too, said Ive. Their stories are legendary. Yeah, because that's where we come from, said Copper. Evolution's a bitch, grumbled Ive. Copper nodded. I agree. Come on, let's get this meat back so we can eat. Moana was soaking in the river, thinking of the sovereign lands and what it would be like to live with a tribe of immortals. Could she be the last of her kind? And if not, how would she know if one would be nearby? Why were they killed off? Would she ever have answers to these questions? She was still thinking about it when she felt the hairs on the back of her neck rise, and a strong feeling that she was being watched broke her thoughts. Something creeping upon behind her. She turned around to see what was behind her and heard a loud roar and screamed as she saw a raptor on shore, just inches away from her. She screamed again and then saw the raptor's head fall to the ground. Laughter came from the raptor's head, rolled away. Ive! He shouted at him, watching him bent over with laughter. I know, he finally said, gulping down his laugh. I'm sorry. You and Copper must be on the hunt for a death wish, he told him. Actually, we were. The raptors almost ate us, he told him. He giggled. How long have you been in there? He asked her, referring to her sitting in the water. Moana lifted her hands, showing her wrinkling palms. I'm pruning, he replied. Damn, you coming out? Or have you been waiting for me? I've asked. I was just waiting for y'all to come back, but if you want to get wet, come on in. Ive saw the look on her face and asked, is it cold? Not to me. Ive got undressed and joined her. Is it cold? She repeated his last comment. He placed his hands on her small hips and pulled her close. Not to me. Moana felt his phallus on her pusna hairs. His hand slid down to her bottom and lifted her to his level. He was naked, and her pusna had nothing but stiff phallus against it. Damn, she whispered. Yeah, he replied. He knew she could feel him. You want me? Asked him. Badly, I mean, you want everything that comes along with having me. You want to live forever. Can you handle never dying? You want to spend forever with me? Asked her. I want nothing more than to spend my life with you, I've told her. Eternity? He wanted to know. Forever, I've confirmed. Children? Moana asked. We can start our own tribe, I've told her jokingly, yet very genuine. She barely could contain her joy, kissing him and feeling him. Things really got hot as the passion grew between them. I've lifted her higher, still holding on to her bottom, and bent his head to kiss her upon her little nipples. The water made her buoyant. He released her with one hand, keeping her firmly against him with the other. With his free hand, he guided, holding to her with the other, so he could attempt to slide his phallus in an even warmer spot. Wait, no, he said, and pushed his phallus from her pussy lips. Not here, he told her. Not here? He asked. Not in the water. Not in the water, it's dirty, he explained. Damn, said Ive. I'm sorry. I want you too, but I don't want anything going inside my body besides you, he said. Ive took a deep breath to release some of his pent-up arousal. I understand, I guess. They gazed into another's eyes and laughed. Damn, Moana said, licking her lips. Pusna still ready, throbbing with anticipation. You're lucky. There's no such thing. True, but my Pusna is tight, and luck is for the fortunate. Ah, man, let's get out of here. Yeah, let's. He laughed, watching him make his way out. Got a sexy ass. Ow, I'm wet. He turned to her, massaging his smarting ass. You're still hard. He looked down at his solid phallus. I'll be fine. But she knew he wouldn't because his phallus was leaking fluids of desire, and she now considered him as her mate. With that, he must stop the yen. At least give him some to stop his phallus from rising. Come here. He patted a stone in front of him. Sit on this rock. What? I've wondered. Just sit on the stone. He did as told. He raised herself to hiss. Your phallus is still hard. It's okay. I can bless you. Stop the craving. Grabbed the base of his phallus, massaged it, feeling his muscle, and looking at his face, could clearly see he was enjoying it. So she put it into her mouth. Ah! I've let out lowly, toward the warmth of her mouth, her jaws, her tongue, and her suck, slow and smooth. Can you suck it all? He simply smiled and placed his phallus deeper. He slid her tongue all around the underlining of his pulsing joystick. She did not hold back as she consumed him as if she was a hungry baby with a honeysuckle. Ive began to throb deep within. Oh shit. No, I'm coming. I'm sorry, he said, not wanting to climax so fast. His fluids rushed through him, so desperately wanted to feel her instinct, see her face of pain, her climax. Those same desires are the reasons behind his shortcomings. It's okay, Moana continued, as she stroked her tongue and continued sucking. Ah, he sighed. He kept massaging and sucking and swallowed his cup. He knew he was excited to have her because he continued to flow, steady coming. Once he stopped, he licked away the last drop. Been a while? He asked. Yeah, he breathed out. He smiled. Ready to eat now? What? Food or you? He grinned down at her. Laughed. Food! F-O-O-D. Oh, I guess so, he responded. Papa was sitting alone by the fire, eating the raptor, and waiting for everyone to return. He heard some laughter and footsteps. Ive and Primawana? He said to himself. Where's? Primawana started to ask Papa when they were near the campfire. Not a clue, answered, cutting Primawana short, knowing she was inquiring Tavo's absence. He wasn't here when me and Ive got back from the hunting, and then Ive went looking for you. By the way, he looked over at Ive. Did you scare her? Did I? Oh shit! Ive mimicked Primawana's reaction in a goofy way. I wasn't all like that, Primawana remarked indignantly. Ive laughed at him. I'm going to find Tavo, he then told them. South, Copper said. Huh? Asked Ive. He's south, said Copper. Oh, smooth. Ive remarked and left in search for Tavo. How do you know? Moana asked Copper. I smell him. He looked at her. My senses are nearly 7 times stronger than the average mortal. From his look, Moana could realize he had have to know she had had her first drops. It's okay. He doesn't know. She took a deep breath. Thanks. No problem. How long did you know? From day 1. I know you're happy. Yeah, she smiled. I am. I've headed south on the lookout for Tavo. Through the trees, soon spotted some lights, sparkling not too far away. As I've got closer, he could hear a hissing sound coming from each glow. Tavo? He called out, and then all the hissing ceased. Just a blinding light remained. A hand suddenly reached out for him swiftly to the center of the light, and he became vastly lightheaded. Blinking his eyes from the glare, Ive could make out a figure through the light and could tell it was Tavo. But what Tavo was doing was unclear. He swore he was just experiencing something strange, but he was still standing and still aware. You all right, Tavo? Ive asked as the light diminished. Tavo stood to his feet and looked at Ive. I'm fine, he replied. You sure? Questioned Ive. Yes. What were you doing? Ive asked. Rebuilding my energy, explained Tavo. Food awaits us. Yes, good. What's cooking? Asked Tavo. Raptor, answered Ive, letting Tavo walk ahead of him, back to the camp. Ive glanced back at where Tavo had been and wondered why Stray so far if only was building energy. A simple answer was given to him, but he felt the situation told more. They made their way back to camp. Once the food was cooked, they set out and ate heartily. They prepared for a good night's rest before trailing the long walk ahead of them in the morning. Each drifted to sleep with questions in their mind. They knew they were going where few have gone, who has never returned. They knew what awaited them, death, enslavement, or salvation.